The hour of 6 p.m. has arrived. We call to order this regular meeting of the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee. Meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene YouTube channel and Channel 1302. The video is also streamed on the city's website and is posted on the website by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. Copies of the printed agenda are available in the wall pockets just as you enter the meeting room. The public and other city councilors will be recognized to ask questions and make comments on the agenda item under discussion. After being recognized, all remarks to be made through the chair. I'll not recognize an individual a second time until everyone who wishes has had a chance to speak. Anyone who wishes to address the committee is asked to go to one of the microphones in the room and identify themselves by name and address prior to speaking. Written comments from the public will be accepted at the city clerk's office until Tuesday at 1 p.m. Our minute taker participates remotely. Committee members, be sure to turn on your microphone when speaking. If the minute taker is unable to hear, they're going to ask to speak louder or turn on the microphone. No one is coming in remotely, so we'll start with our printed agenda, and we're going to shuffle some items around. And item number 5, you want to do that first? Yes, sir. Would you like to start it off?
Sure. Hi, good evening. Josh Meehan, Executive Director, Keene Housing, 65 Langley Road in Keene. I would have worn a brighter shirt had I gotten the memo. I apologize. So I'm happy to answer questions or to just quickly give you a description of the project. I could probably start there. It did go through planning some time ago, but the project we're working on, which hopefully most of you are aware of, is adaptive reuse of the Roosevelt School at 438 Washington Street, a 2-phase project. The first phase is a combination of adaptive reuse of the existing building and then an addition of new construction connected to the older building. That's phase 1, which we hope we're going to break ground on either later next month, July, or early August. We'll start construction. And then phase 2, which will be another 30, so that's 30 units. Phase 2 will be 30 units of new construction that we're going after the funding for right now. So we don't have that funding together, but we do have all the funding for phase 1 together. But the reason that I was here today in front of you is because an opportunity came through the Invest NH program very recently to help us cover the costs of the demolition. So Invest NH, as you may be aware, first was funded through ARPA funding to the state, and then the legislature in the last, not this session, the session before, I believe, started using state funds because the federal funds were all used up. So basically, the funding is available to do demolition that leads to affordable housing, and being Keene Housing, that's the only housing we do. And so this opportunity arose to get some additional funding into the project for this first phase here. So the city thus far has graciously agreed, if you all agree and council agrees, to sponsor our application to get $412,000, which will cover the costs of all the demolition that's planned in the first phase of the project. Seriously, with the shirts, nobody told me. I absolutely would have worn something brighter. Anyway, so, and just mechanically, the way that it works is the city fills out the application, and then the city enters into an agreement with Monadnock Affordable Housing Corporation, which is Keene Housing's development arm. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. We administer the contract. We then send our receipts to the city sends them to the state, and then we get reimbursed as we draw down that grant. And I'm happy to answer any questions. That's kind of, I think, the high-level summary.
Yeah, so we have been successful at getting some funds from the Invest NH program, as you will remember, for the findings demolition. And we had gone back and requested some additional funds, and at that time there were none available. new funds have become available as other funds didn't get expended. And so this is a wonderful opportunity to help bring down the overall cost of this affordable housing project. It's a relatively easy lift for us. There's some grant requirements and processing of paperwork, and then at the end, we'll need to do a closeout. But when Josh came and asked if we would be willing to help him with this, we said absolutely, and so hopefully this is something you will also support.
Questions up here? Members of the public have questions? Just to make sure that we're clear, we're talking demolition funding. I assume that's for interior, we're not leveling the place, are we?
We're taking down the gym that was built in the 70s, so that's coming down. And so these funds would cover those costs, and they would also cover the cost of the interior demolition.
Sure.
So we're basically getting it down to the studs and then building housing where once there were classes. And this cost would also cover the asbestos remediation as part of the demolition cost. So it's great. It's a great opportunity.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I think the sooner the better that we get this and get the housing up. Because I was doing some research the other day, and everybody likes to talk about the poverty level being like 11%. But what I found that was really surprising, just even based on local costs, over 40% of the households in this country cannot pay for their basic needs because, and one of the biggest reasons is the cost of the housing.
That's right.
And it's just going to get worse, and we're just putting people at risk of being out in the street unless we can get more affordable housing.
Yep, no, I agree, and just for context, our wait list, we have 3,000 households on our wait list right now. 1,500 of them we can tie directly back to Keene or an adjacent community. There's another 1,500 that are from further away, but we have 1,500 from the Monadnock region.
I took my glasses off. Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate, accept, execute necessary documents, and expend and invest New Hampshire capital grant not to exceed $412,000, hope I said it right, with Keene Housing and the State of New Hampshire Department of Business Affairs for the demolition of 438 Washington Street, the former Roosevelt School.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the committee?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Going to part of what you initially brought up, could we maybe change this wording a little bit? Because when I first read it, I viewed it as demolishing the whole building.
So the grant is a demo fund. It's the name of
Okay.
the grant fund, yeah.
All right. So we all know now, so we can
Yeah.
clear it up for anybody. All right. In that case, all in favor? No one's opposed, it's unanimous.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
and thanks for taking me out of order. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, have a nice night. Thank you very much.
We were going to vote no with anybody who didn't wear a shirt like this.
This is close.
All right, so back on the printed agenda, item number 1, donation, and it's the library director's turn.
Good evening, counselors. Marty Fisk, Library Director. So I've got a donation of $1,169 that's coming from the library trustees. This is for a project for sound remediation for Cohen Hall that is going to be partially funded by the Heberton Hall Fund. Cohen Hall, as you may recall, is the former Masons ritual space. It has a very high level of reverberation. It makes it very difficult to understand dialogue especially during lectures and movies. People end up having to speak in microphone even for small group exercises because there's so much reverberation in the space. So the trustees also needed to have a study done for acoustical value of the circulation lobby that's off of Main Street. And so they sought to have an engineer to come out and handle both of those rooms at the same time and have funding paid for out of the Hubbardton Fund for Cohen Hall, and the trustees will cover the half of it for the circulation lobby. It went through the approval process for the Hubbardton Hall use of funds by the trustees, by the Board of the Friends, and through the city manager. So that study has been done now. The invoice is in. And one half of the invoice would be for $1,169 for the trustees to pay for the circulation lobby. This money will get deposited into Hubbardton Fund so that one check can be drawn to pay for the engineering study for the full amount.
Thank you. Any questions up here? Members of the public? Looking for a motion, and it's really back to you again, if I follow.
Oh, you want me to start? Okay, sure. Move to recommend that the city manager do all things necessary to accept and expend a donation of $1,169 to the Hubbardton Fund from the trustees of the Keene Public Library.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I guess my only comment would be is, I hope we can learn a little bit from this study and we can apply it to the Blastos room, because it's the same situation.
Yes.
So much noise. All in favor? No one's opposed? It's unanimous. You have another one?
I do. This is for a donation from the Friends of the Library to fund the Makerspace interns at the library. So the Friends of the Library have been giving us an amount every year that pays for the total amount of the interns who work at the library's Makerspace. The Makerspace is open in the evenings on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday mornings, Friday daytime, I should say, and Saturdays. The Friends of the Library have set aside $15,000 this year from their budget of support for the library, and it's time for us to make a deposit. We've got just about $2,000 left over from last year's donation that they had made. So these are the people who help us with doing programming, teaching people to use the Makerspace equipment, and one-on-one assistance to members of the community.
Thank you. Questions, members of the committee? Public? Seeing none. Motion?
Move to recommend that the city manager do all things necessary to accept and expend a donation of $15,000 from the Friends of the Keene Public Library to fund Makerspace interns.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion by the committee? Seeing none, all in favor? No one's opposed, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Charles Smith wants to address the committee.
Hello, I'm Charles Smith. I live on 9 Gate Street, right in Keene. I had 3 topics. Can I just go through all 3 of them? Sure. Okay, great. I would like to bring up homelessness first, since it's fresh in our mind, since Mr. Josh was just here from Keene Housing. One of the things that concerns me about homelessness is I'm watching the news, I'm watching Texas, I'm watching New York, I'm watching Massachusetts, and I'm watching a lot of children. Our president just went to a funeral today from a 12-year-old girl raped and murdered from an illegal alien from Venezuela. Right after he went to the funeral, he got on the plane to go do the debates tonight. Are we building these houses for the people for this place, or are we opening up a floodgate for a bunch of people who were never really invited to this country in the first place? So I'm hoping that we could at least go by zip code, residency, something somewhat local. I mean, I'm all about helping out people that, cannot make it on their own. We certainly have the money to do it. We got $900,000, from the federal government to help out with homeless people, but I just want to make sure the money's going towards the right reasons to protect us. And I don't mean the people in this room. I just mean, the people that are this community, people that have paid taxes here, their whole life, things like that. That's my main concern, because from what I'm watching on the news, and I'll show you. In the last week, the lady's name that they did the funeral today for was Jocelyn Nonangary. She was 12 years old. That's the funeral where our president went to today in Houston. Albany, another one dead. Syracuse, another one dead. Boston, another one dead. That's just in the last week. And it seems like it's coming this way. So, I mean, that's great. I love Keene Housing. I work with them. Well, I'm on their list. They're working with me. But I just want to make sure that the streets are safe for my son, who's right behind me, and his friend, 5 years from now, so that we're not putting up a big carrot in front of, and inviting people here that maybe we don't want here. And there's a lot of people that do it the right way, the legal way. His mother is one of them. She did it. It took her a little bit of time, and she's a great benefit to this community. She lives in this community. And she did it the right way. So I think we should consider that.
All right, thanks for those comments on the homeless.
Yeah.
You said you had 3. I want to
I
make sure.
do.
Got you, okay, very
Getting
good.
to the next one right now. We're literally in the middle of camping right now. I went home to put this on out of respect for the forum. I come here and you guys look like you just came from a Hawaiian luau. All right. The second one, the political signs. Shortly after the midterms, the city passed an ordinance saying that you cannot put up political signs on our land. I understand, I wasn't here for the meeting when that decision was made, but I'm guessing it's probably because people leave them behind. They turn into garbage. I saw a Kelly Ayotte sign the other day at the T. That's the place where it runs into where, State Trooper Station, Home Depot, all that. It looked like garbage. I was ready to take it down myself. But after the midterms, I went down to take my signs down because you guys just passed that resolution for no political signs, so I went to pick up all my signs. And 30 seconds after putting my hazard lights on, a state trooper car pulled up behind me and asking me if they were my signs. I explained to him that they were, and he believed me. But I understand a lot of people leave them behind. It's like yard sale signs. That drives me insane. You put up a yard sale sign and it's like out of sight, out of mind. Maybe we could come up with something like a list. Like you go to City Hall, you say, hey, I would like to put up a sign here at this address, a sign over here, at the Rotary. This is going to be the sign and I am responsible for it. And 48 hours after the election, they come down. And if they're not down, then somebody takes them down. And I will volunteer to do that. I will drive through Keene and I will take the signs down 48 hours later if no one else does, just to clean the city back up. But our founding fathers were big on freedom of speech. I mean, out of the 27 amendments to our Constitution, 10 of them, the Bill of Rights, freedom of speech is the first one. It's not even the second one. It's the first one. So by telling people they can't put up, their speech for their candidate that they want to win, that's going to basically, affect a lot of decisions affect gas prices, grocery prices. I mean, inflation doesn't even consider food and fuel. Believe it or not, it doesn't even consider food or fuel. And inflation is skyrocketing. It all depends on who's in that White House. So the people should have freedom of speech when it comes to things like that. And I would really hate to think I live in a city that would try and squash that. I mean, I'm related to Daniel Boone. I'm related to James Fenimore Cooper. My grandmother's middle name was Fenimore, and, you know, our founding fathers would not want our right, our voice, to be smothered. So I would really ask for you guys to consider at least coming up with a list. You know, it's really easy. Hey, here's my name, here's my address, I'm putting up a sign here, here, and there. Maybe even fine them for littering if they don't take it down in 48 hours. But, I mean, I will personally volunteer to take all the signs down after 48 hours, just to give you guys an easy yes on this.
Thank you.
Number 3?
Sure.
Okay. Transparency equals trust. We paid $500,000 for the police to get their body camera videos and their car camera videos. We got them in the middle of July. I don't even need this notebook. We got them in the middle of July. Now, granted, it was a federal grant that helped us out with that, and that's great. But this country is $32 trillion in debt. And federal taxes are basically, not definitively, but basically the taxes that we have to pay. I mean, you got the property taxes, you know, when the rich people's taxes go up, the poor people's rent goes up. So we're all paying taxes. Why do we not have access to them? Now, I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't plan on starting a YouTube channel, and I don't plan on sending it to a YouTube channel. But I'm trying to get video footage of something that happened that I was involved with on December 9th. And I was told that because I wasn't arrested, that I can't have access to the footage. And I spoke to the mayor, I spoke to the city manager, and I even compromised down to the point where I said, listen, can I just listen to it with you? I don't need to see it. I don't need to film it. If I could just listen to it with you. That's all I'm asking. And all I'm hearing is the word policy. I mean, policy does not trump our Constitution. I mean, this is our land. In all due respect, guys, no one here would have a position that you guys have if it wasn't for we the people. And I think that transparency is a very important thing to develop trust between, you know, the people. I mean, I see you have some good relationships with everybody, and I want a good relationship with you guys, but I just want it to make sense to me. Why is it so secretive for me to just listen to the body camera footage that was about me? That's all I want to know. If someone can explain that, that would be great.
So, as far as operations or cases or issues that come before the police department, that's not within our purview. Those are within the purview of the courts in the system. What I can tell you is that when it comes to the cameras used by law enforcement, they are regulated by state law. There's a statute that very succinctly outlines the dispersion of that information, and that's what we're following. So, you know, as far as transparency, I'm sure that throughout your discussion with the police department, they've explained that, and they've explained all the portions of the case that attribute to you. But beyond that, we, as a body up here, cannot pass a law as it relates to that particular element. We're not a, thank you.
Yep.
We're not a home rule state. As much as we'd like to think we are only allowed to pass laws and regulations that are allowed by the state statute for us to do. So that's the situation here. It's not like we're withholding information. We're following the rules that are set forth by the legislature.
Yeah, I understand that, Mr. Powers, but before I came here, I called the attorneys in Concord, and everyone seems to be playing hot potato with this. I could give you the guy's name if you'd like it. I don't think it would matter, but I spoke to an attorney in Concord, and I told him what's going on and what I'm trying to do. And his exact words to me was, "It doesn't surprise me that you're calling from Keene." He said, "It comes back down to here." So you guys, not you guys, I mean the mayor or the city manager, I just want everyone to hear this. I know it's not you guys. The mayor or the city manager, they can allow me to listen to the tape. The lieutenant I spoke to at the police station said, I can't even do that. It's not my decision. It all filters back from DOJ, lieutenant, all the way back to the city manager or the mayor. And I just want you guys to hear this. I know you can't say yes or no. I just want you guys to all hear this at the same time. It's like a hot potato, and the potato lands, you know, in the hands of the city manager or the mayor. And I mean, I don't want to cause a problem in a place I live. I've lived here for 22 years in the same house. And I'm not trying to do anything other at this point in time than accept the fact that they don't want to be transparent, which is very frightening as a citizen. That's scary. And, you know, I would just like for someone to explain it to me in a way that makes sense. That's all. And that's all I wanted to say today.
Any further discussion here? Colonel?
This is just to make sure that anybody who's listening doesn't go and break the law. That Kelly Ayotte sign that was up, that was for this upcoming primary, and that sign was torn apart by last week's storm with the heavy wind and the rain, because when I drove by it, it looked like it had been out there for weeks. So if someone thinks that's an old sign and goes, picks it up, and the state trooper comes behind them and say, "Hey, is that your sign?" They say no, they could be very easily breaking the law. So you have to be really careful before you take that initiative.
Yeah, because the state police are definitely looking at it, and that was definitely from the wind, but, and guys, can we set something up at least today? Can you take a vote? Can we, like, set something up to where you put it over the radio or change it so we can, I mean, it's the presidential election coming up. They're debating, I think, right now, or if not right now, within an hour from now. Can we put some political signs up if we have responsibility to take them down or fix them if they end up like the Kelly Ayotte sign?
As it relates to political signs,
Yeah.
we have rules for city elections, and then there are state laws, strict state laws, as it goes to statewide and national elections, is what's to be done with signs. And let me assure you that the state is very serious, as you have found out by just stopping by, very serious about dealing with the signs. And we have had issues in the past where there have been complaints, and we refer them to the Secretary of State's office, and they are dealt with. And we follow the state law as it relates to those signs if they're on city property. And if I understand correctly, and I'm sure the city attorney will correct me, if you want to put it on, all you want on your front lawn, you're free to do so.
But not, because this is a new ordinance, and the only reason that trooper came up behind me is because he thought I was stealing signs. I was just taking the signs that I myself put up. That was the issue, and he realized that when I showed him all my literature related to the sign and told him I'm the captain of Ward 1 for this campaign, and he was just making sure I wasn't trying to steal them. But, I mean, this is our land. This is what we pay property taxes for, not just in a front yard, but in, you know, the main places. And I'm seeing, was it Chuck Grassley or some sign out there, Kelly Ayotte signs out there? So the people that violate the ordinance, they get their message out, but the people that follow the laws, nothing to see here. I mean, it's almost like gun laws. And listen, it's a far stretch from that, but, you know, it's like, you know what I'm saying. You know where I'm going with that.
Thank
So nothing for, I mean, like I said, we can't, I mean, I'll type it up. You know, just go to City Hall, write your name down, write down a sign you're gonna put there, and sign something saying that you're gonna pick it up 24 or 48 hours after the election. The
We don't-
presidential
We
election.
recently did not enact any city ordinances for signs that is different than norm,
Really?
if I'm correct.
Not after the midterms?
No,
I heard it on the radio. Okay.
well,
Guess the radio was wrong then.
okay,
We didn't,
Okay, well then, I guess that last 10 minutes was all for nothing, then I apologize for that. All right, gentlemen and ladies, thank you very much for my time. your
thank you.
time.
Need a motion here.
move to recommend the communications from Charles Smith be accepted as informational.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion, members of the committee? Seeing none, all in favor? No one's opposed, it's unanimous. Thank you. Brings us to the end. So we're adjourned.
I didn't even get the sweat in my shirt.
Did that motion work for the,
No, you don't have to attend tonight.
yes, the communications?
I studied a lot.